Hello, I'm Evan Nolan, the president and co-founder of the United States Athletics Hall of Fame, here with another returning nominee for the class of 2024. Born in Level Cross, Georgia in 1937, Richard Lee Petty was born to one of America's truly great racing families. Now, his father, Lee Petty, was a three-time NASCAR Series champion, was elected in the NASCAR Hall of Fame in the second class, and would win the first Daytona 500 back in 1959. His son Kyle spent many years in NASCAR, and even his grandson Adam became a stock car racer, although unfortunately Adam would die in a train crash when he was just 19. So there's no question that Richard is the greatest racer amongst the four of them. He would run his first race at the age of 21 in 1958 and to start a career that will just never, ever be repeated. He'd be the Rookie of the Year of the Grand National Series, which is what they used to call NASCAR's top circuit back in 1959, finishing in the top 10 9 times, including 6 times in the top 5. He'd run his first Daytona 500 that year, but would have to pull out due to engine troubles, and would join his father's pit crew. As you know, he helped his father win that race. That is to say, though, their relationship wasn't always so great. Richard was awarded his first win at Lakewood, Georgia that year in his 17th start, with Lee finishing in second place. However, when the race was over, Lee actually protested the results, saying that he had lapped Richard and the officials never gave him credit for it. After discussing, those officials decided that yes, Lee did lap him and awarded Lee the win and denied Richard his first victory. Now, that first victory would come the next season in February at Charlotte, which would be the first of his 200 career victories. He'd also finished second in the Grand National that year in 1960. He'd won his first Grand National Championship in 1964, winning 9 races that year, including his first Daytona 500. He'd win his second Daytona 500 in 1966, becoming the first racer to do so, coming from 2 laps down in what was a rain-shorted race. But his following season of 1967 is the greatest single season of any NASCAR driver ever, and will be as long as the sport exists. Now, he didn't actually win Daytona that year, but that was just about the only race he didn't win. He actually won 27 races that season, including the only time he ever won the Southern 500. Not only that, he would win 10 straight races from August 12th through October 1st. Both of those are records that are just never going to be touched. He also picked up a new nickname that season, going from the Randleman Rocket to what we now know him as King Richard. He'd follow up his 1967 ridiculous season with an additional 16 wins in 1968, tying arch rival David Pearson for the most on the circuit, although Pearson would edge him out for the series title that year. But King Richard would get the better of Pearson eventually, as it added Grand National and Winston Cup Series titles, as the Grand National changed its name, in 1971, 72, 74, 75, and 79, to bring his total to a record of 7 titles, compared to Pearson, who ended up with only 3. Not to say that's bad. That record of 7 titles, by the way, has since been tied by Dale Earnhardt Sr., who is also a nominee this year, and future nominee Jimmy Johnson. And his records just continue on from there. He's the all-time leader in poles with 123. He has 700 top 10 finishes. As I mentioned before, he has the most wins in NASCAR history with 200. But what you don't realize is that's 95 more than David Pearson in second place. He holds the most career victories at Daytona Speedway with 10, which includes a record 7 Daytona 500 victories. In addition to his championships and records, he also won the most popular driver award 9 times as one of the most beloved racers by competitors and fans alike. He retired in 1992, and the accolades he picked up after his career are almost as big as the ones he picked up during it. Petty's a member of the Motorsports Hall of Fame, the International Motorsports Hall of Fame. He's a member of NASCAR's 50 and 75th greatest drivers list. He won a Presidential Medal of Freedom and was one of the 5 inaugural inductees in NASCAR's Hall of Fame. Take that one, Lee. He beat you on that case. He was actually our top racing vote getter last season, but ended up disappointing number 77 overall in our rankings. Can you help him cross the finish line and get to the USA Hall of Fame this year? If any racer deserves it, it's certainly Petty. You can vote for Richard Petty or any of our other nominees to the United States Athletics Hall of Fame at www.theusahof.com. That's the United States Athletics Hall of Fame.com. Voting continues between now and we make have our vote polls closed December 1st. So vote as often as you like, as long as it's only once a day. I'll be back soon with another nominee, but until then, take care.